So with gas prices getting up near $2 a gallon, does it make sense for those who could afford one of these? This is a 2025 Mustang Mach-E, and this is my first time driving an electric car, so this ought to be interesting. Let's get into it. So we'll start around the front here, and we'll take you around the car. I really like the look of these, and I have some interest in electric cars, but I'm not 100% comfortable, and that's why I don't do a lot of these. Now, that's not to say that I can't do more if you guys like this content, but I'm a gas guy, but you know, these cars are great, can be great cars, but they're not for everybody. So I thought I'd give this a boot. The truck was in getting some recalls done to it, and they gave me this to try. So I thought that I would do a video on it for you guys. I apologize, it is a little dirty. It's not their fault. I want to thank my friends at Bourgeois Ford for letting me use this to do the video. We'll start with the front. So for those of you who are familiar with these cars, you have obviously the front truck. And in 24, the front trunks used to be bigger. But for 25, they put a heat pump in them. So it made the front trunk smaller. But there's still a decent amount of room in here to put, you know, a bag or some bags or whatever, washer fluid, whatever. You know, washer fluid, there's not much to this, but it still has a decent sized front, considering that it has a heat pump now, which is the huge thing, because it was apparently a big battery killer. It's got the standard charging port for high, and with a high voltage. Also comes with the Nexus adapter in the back. And the one part that I kind of like, I don't know, I kind of wish there was handles here, but they have this little handle on these push buttons. I don't know how well they're going to fare in the cold temperatures up here in Canada, but they are kind of cool. You push it, and then they pop it. There's little reveals, there's little push-it pins that push the doors out. They're kind of cool. And this one, it just pops it a little bit, and then you grab the handle. We'll get into the interior in a minute, but I like the look of this car. I think it's pretty cool. For those of you who are like the rear wiper, this thing's got a rear wiper. It's got a fair amount of storage in here. I'm not going to go into storage specs and all that, but it's got quite a bit of room, especially with the seats down. This is your charging cable, and this is your adapter for your Tesla chargers. I know there's a lot of, it's very subjective because of this right here. I would have just called this car a Mach-E and not put the Mustang on it. And I know the Mustang guys, you know, they have something to say about it, but you know, it is a very nice car. We'll get into the driving portion here shortly, but let's take a look inside. I don't mind this little center cluster here. A lot of this is operated through this 15-inch vertical display. And I really do like the interior in this car. You know, there's a couple things that we'll get into in the end that I would have liked to seen done differently, but all your buttons are up here, your Bluetooth, your call connect. This does have CarPlay and Android Auto, which is one of the advantages to going with a Ford over the GM, is because all the GM new electric vehicles have that Google system. You can't get Android Auto or CarPlay, where Ford's still kind of stuck with it. One-touch pedal. Those purple lights that you're seeing, if you're not familiar with these, that's the Ford Blue Cruise, where it's kind of hands-free driving on highways or marked highways and whatnot. What else? Push button start. That is the one, you know, it's one of the things between the screen and the push button start, where with the truck's got the push button start, you hear the engine start. Where this, there's nothing. You shut it off and you push it, and you basically, the drive selector, and the 24s, they used to be down here. Now they're back up on the stock again. And they're pretty straightforward to use. Push up to reverse, push down for drive, push the button on the end for park, and you can see it all. You can see it all change. Oops, we have our accessory mode. You can see it all change. For P for park, up, right? You got the bird's eye view camera and then the rear camera. The rear cameras in this are really good as well. What else? So as I mentioned, this screen is going to take a lot of getting used to if you're going from something a little less tech than what I have. You do everything in here. It's got 3 drive modes: whisper, engage, and unbridle. Unbridle is pretty much like no barriers. This is just a select all-wheel drive standard range. I don't know what the 0 to 60 is. I think it's around 4.5 or 5 seconds, where the GT is, I think, either low 4s or high 3s. So, but trust me, this car is more than enough power-wise. You have driver assistance, phone lists, all your vehicle stuff, and there's a little bit of lag, but for typical Ford fashion, it's not a ton. This is Sync Ford 4. The truck's got Sync 3.4. They really act about the same. I would say the lag is about the same, even though this is the newer version of Sync. It's very good. This center button is multiple control. I still haven't figured out how to use it all yet, but you turn your temperature up here. You can set your auto, set your temperature. So once you set your temperature down, you can dial it this way, and then your fan speed. Once you set your fan speed, you can turn it. Heated steering, heat and cool seats, rear defrost. Just very, very impressive. I guess my one complaint sitting in here is I wish this seat was a little lower. I feel like I sit too high in it. I know I've watched other Mach-E videos where people have kind of said the same thing. You got your parking brake here, and then you have, what is that? Your parking sensors, and then your forwards. Wireless charging here for the phone, and more storage underneath. So there's tons of storage. Standard, it's like I said, standard lanes, select trim. That's kind of the entry-level trim, but you still have that. It's not leather; it's that new Ford leather, and it's very nice. The heated seats work really well. The heated steering wheel. Never had a heated steering wheel. Now I start to understand why people like it. So how's the backseat headroom? I'm a little over 6 feet, and I have more than enough room, and I'm not banging my head. So this seat is, the front seat is set for where I would sit, and I have 3-4 inches here. You could comfortably sit here for a long drive and not feel uncomfortable. Lots of room. There's also a center console with some cup holders, full flat floor, so very nice in the back, and very comfortable, I have to say. All right, let's go. So for an electric vehicle, it is about what I expected it. It's quiet. You don't hear a lot of the wind noise from the electric motors. So, there's not a lot of road noise. Another thing that takes a bit of getting used to is I have this set for one pedal driving. So when you let off the accelerator, it almost brings you to a full stop. You barely have to touch. You barely have to use the brakes in this, which is nice. which is very nice. You'll save on brakes doing it that way, and you don't have to worry about going through pads like you would on a normal car. The acceleration in this thing is phenomenal. Again, this is kind of like the entry-level model, and when you get on it, it goes. There's hardly any delay at all. So I'm fairly happy with that. And again, going from a gas car or truck to going to this, it is pretty exciting to drive. That's the fun part of driving an electric car. You know, you get used to all these certain noises driving a gas car, and then you get into one of these, and it's like, wow, I'm not used to not hearing this and not hearing that. How does it handle? It handles about as well as I would expect for an electric car. It has a low center of gravity because of the battery, which we can get into that battery in a minute, being a standard range, but all the weight is as a low center of gravity. It corners well, it handles well. You don't have too much of, and I haven't really pushed it, so to try and tell you about over and understeer and all that, I don't really, because I haven't really pushed it. It's a brand new car. So, but this has all your features, right? Your blind spot and your adaptive cruise, and emergency braking and all that stuff, right? The big thing is, like I had said before, this is not for everybody, right? Electric cars are not here for everybody. There's a lot of fear out there and a lot of uncertainty, and I get it. I'm, would consider one of these, but it's like, how it's not so much range anxiety. We have a lot more charger infrastructure than we used to. And this would be fine for putting around on a regular basis. I think it's the going on long trips, where we don't go on a ton of long trips, so it doesn't really matter, but it's the highway where that kind of kills range with these. But you can get out. This will charge us 150 kilowatt charging speed. I think this will charge 10 to 80 in about 30 minutes. So you could get out and stretch your legs, or if you were on the road, you could get some work done while you're waiting for a charge. And you know what? You'll save the money if you charge it. That's where you're going to save the money in this. This will be, I don't know, it might be $10 a day to charge it, right? You charge it at home, and it would be somewhere between $10 and $13 a day to charge. So not a lot of money. You're going to pay when you get into the supercharger, the level 3 charging. That's where you're going to pay the money. So other than that, I think it's a great option. Looking at this versus a Chevrolet, I don't know if one's better than the other. I tend to lean to this over the Chevrolet because of the Android Auto and the CarPlay, where you have that subscription service with Chevrolet for 8 years, but after that you got to pay for it. And to some people, it's a no-brainer. It's a no-starter because they don't hold on to their cars that long. Where I tend to keep my cars longer. So I like that I don't have to pay for a subscription in this, other than the ones that I want to. Okay, so to go over some of these options, we won't go over a majority of the standard options. Let's go over the optional equipment. Again, 2025 standard range select all-wheel drive. It's got the white metallic tri-coat. So 19-inch wheels, fast charging NAX adapter, comfort package light, heated front seat, steering wheel, memory seat, Blue Cruise, 90-day trial, interior protection package. Again, pretty basic. Has a standard MSRP of 60,305 Canadian. They have this reduced now with incentives down to about 48,000, as I mentioned earlier. 380 kilometer range. And so coming in here, so 380 kilometers of range, and here is where the cold affects electric cars. I'm at 78% stated charge. I'm at 258 kilometers, and this is 380 max. So you lose, what have we lost? 130 and 20%. In the wintertime, you know, from what I've read, you lose about 30%. So, not horrible. If you're not, I mean, for me, I don't think a standard range would work. I would need a long range if I was to get one of these. But nonetheless, still a beautiful car. One thing I did want to mention is it's got the Bang & Olufsen system in it with this sound bar, and the sound in this car is pretty decent. I gotta say, it's got a pretty decent radio, as most do with these new cars. But anyways, let me know what you guys think. You know, I'm not trying to sell you on electric cars. I've never done one of these videos before, so I wanted to do one, and while I had the opportunity with this loaner, so I thought I would do the video. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure you subscribe and give us a thumbs up, regardless if you're an electric fan or not. Let me know that you guys are enjoying these videos by giving us a thumbs up, and make sure you subscribe. Thanks again, and we'll see you soon.